Okay, so I'm going to keep talking about ser and estar, and I just wanted you to look here before I move on. One verb that often gets talks about when you do ser and estar is I, which means there is, there are, and it's frequently used with mucho and poco. So let's just remember that it's there is, there are is I. Oops. So, esta noche hay una fiesta en mi casa. Tonight there is. So if you're trying to say there is, or if you're trying to say there is or there are, you're going to use I, not ser or estar. Hay más de 44 millón de hispanos que viven en los Estados Unidos. Hay muchos jóvenes en la discoteca. So often they're telling you too that if you see mucho or poco in your sentence, you're going to pick I, or if you see a number like this 44 million, then you're going to pick I, because you frequently say there are or there is. Okay. So let's see what else there is. Okay, so I think we're ready to do practice. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do practice. I've got two activities up here. Here's your charts for how to spell ser and estar. And I went ahead and put estars, that estar is used to express states. It's used to talk about location and to describe a state or a condition. Because there's less rules for a star. So if you know your star rules, if the sentence in question, if what you're looking at doesn't fit with your star rules, then it's going to be ser. Okay, so for example, up here we've got Isabel blank de Argentina. Is that telling, if we've got de in there, usually if we have de, we're going to go with ser. And also de, yes, we've got a place, but if we have de, we're not talking about Isabel being in Argentina. She's from Argentina, and that's your origin, and origin is always ser. So I'm going to plug in ser right here, and who is it that's from Argentina? Well, we look for our subject in front of the if it's a statement, the subject would come before the verb. It's Isabel, which Isabel is the same thing as she. So if I go down here, here's she, ella, so I would need es. So I'm going to go back and change my ser to es. Isabel es de Argentina. Ahora, sus padres en España. So if she's from Argentina, more than likely her parents are also from Argentina, but you can see that we've got this word en right here. En means at. So her parents aren't from Spain, but they happen to be at Spain or in Spain. That is their location. If you indicate the location of persons or objects, you're supposed to use a star. So I'm going to put a star here because this time I am talking about a location. Who is it that's in Spain? Her parents, which is the same thing as de or ellos. So if I go down here and I find ellos, I should be using están. So I'm going to get rid of this, my star, and I'm going to change it to están. Y ahora sus padres están en España. Isabel, alta y delgada. Now both ser and estar get used with adjectives. So this is what I'm looking at, these adjectives. But down here, you use a star with adjectives that describe a state or a condition of the subject, and they should be able to answer the question, how are you doing? So if I say, how are you doing today? Are you ever going to say, I'm tall or I'm thin? How are you doing today? I'm tall. No, that sounds weird. So it's not, when you say that somebody is tall or thin, that's a descriptive adjective. It's not an adjective that describes their state or condition. It describes their size, shape, well, in this case, size and shape. So therefore, size and shape is a descriptive adjective, and that goes with ser. So that's the verb that I would put in here, ser. Okay, who is it that's tall and thin? It's Isabel, which is the same thing as she. So if I look down here, here's she, ella, it would be es. So I'm going to go back up here. I'm going to erase out ser. and plug in es. Okay, ella y yo buenas amigas. Okay, so here what I've got is ella y yo, which are pronouns, and what are they? They are friends. Okay, good friends still describes friends, but what we're saying is they are friends. So you've got a noun describing another noun, and whenever you have that scenario, it's always ser. Okay, so who are good friends? Ella y yo, which is the same thing as we. So if I go down here for we is nosotros, it should be somos. So I'm going to get rid of this, change my ser to somos. Okay, y siempre pasamos tiempo juntas, and we always spend time together. Hoy Isabel contenta. Contenta is happy, okay? That is an adjective. So if I want to determine whether it's a descriptive adjective denoting her size, shape, color, etc., or if it's a state she's in, I can ask myself the question, how are you doing? If I say, how are you doing, could you say, I'm content or I'm happy? Yes. So estar is what you would plug in here. Okay, and who is it that's content or happy? It's Isabel, which is the same thing as she. So then I go over here to my star chart, here's she, and I would change estar to está. Okay. Está contenta porque sus padres vienen a visitar a ella, so her parents are coming to visit her. Isabel y su novio Ricardo nerviosos. So nerviosos is an adjective again, meaning nervous. So if I ask you, if I want to, so does nervous describe, you know, the size or the shape or the color of them? No. And if I ask you, how are you doing today? Could you say, I'm nervous? Yes. So it's describing a state or condition that they are in, which would be a star. Okay. And so who's nervous? Isabel and Ricardo. So they. So Isabel and her novio Ricardo, which is the same thing as ellos. So if I go down here and I'm at start and I find ellos, it should be están. So I'm going to erase this and make it spelled correctly. Están. Están nerviosos porque necesitan preparar una cena para esta noche. La cena blank a las 7. So the dinner is taking place, or it's happening or occurring at 7. So that's an event. And if it's an event, we use ser. Okay. And so what is happening at 7? It's the dinner. And remember that everything in Spanish has a gender. So we don't have an it, but we want to think of cena as ella, as a she. Even though you would never write that, that's what you think of to deal with your chart. So I go down to ser and I look at ella, it should be is. So I'm going to go over here and get rid of ser. And I'm going to plug in is. Okay. A las 7 y blank en el apartamento de Ricardo. So we're still talking about an event because we're saying the dinner is at 7 and it's happening or occurring in Ricardo's apartment. So I am going to put is again. So la cena es a las 7 y es en el apartamento de Ricardo. En ese momento yo hablando con Isabel. This is something we haven't learned yet. So I don't know why they put it in here, but anyway, this is present progressive. So whenever you use the present progressive, what you're trying to say here is, at this moment, I am talking with Isabel. Whenever it's present progressive, whenever you see that ANDO or IENDO, it always goes with a star, which is something you'll learn in the future. So who is it that is talking on the phone with Isabel? Yo. And yo for estar is estoy. So if I so I would put estoy here. Okay. Con Isabel por teléfono para darle la receta de mi postre favorito, el flan. So at this moment, I'm on the phone with Isabel talking with Isabel so I can give her the recipe for my favorite dessert, flan. Isabel y Ricardo creen que todo play casi listo. Listo is one of those words. Listo can mean smart with ser, or it can mean ready with a star. Well, given that they're probably talking about their dinner being ready, you are going to want to use estar. And what you're looking at to conjugate it is todo, meaning everything, and you would treat todo like everything being the dinner. You would treat it as like el, ella. And so then your star for el, ella would be estar. Está. Okay.